The chamber was silent except for the soft hum of translation devices. Ambassador Daniel Harper stood at the human podium, his hands resting calmly on the smooth surface. Around him, the representatives of 47 species waited. Some looked satisfied, others looked nervous. A few would not meet his eyes. Daniel had known this day would come. He had seen it building for months, maybe years. The whispers in corridors, the closed meetings he was not invited to, the way conversations stopped when he entered a room. It did not matter that humans had fought beside these species. It did not matter that human ships patrolled their borders while they slept safely. None of that mattered anymore. High Arbiter Zelnara raised one of her forearms. The insectoid leader of the council had always been fair, or so Daniel had thought. Now he was not so sure. Her voice came through the translator, calm and official. The vote is complete. The motion passes with 39 votes in favor, 7 against, and 1 abstention. Humanity will be restricted from military operations in council space. Human vessels will be limited to designated trade corridors. Human colonies in contested zones must be evacuated within 6 standard months. Councillor Vexthor, the reptilian who had pushed hardest for these restrictions, leaned back in his seat with visible satisfaction. His scales gleamed under the chamber lights. He had spent 2 years convincing the council that humans were too dangerous, too unpredictable, too much like the violent species from the old wars. The Deathworlders, he called them, born on a planet that tried to kill everything that lived there. Daniel took a slow breath. Behind him, Captain Lisa Morgan stood at attention. She was his security detail, but also his friend. He could feel her anger like heat from a fire. She had fought in the border wars. She had saved council ships when their own fleets could not arrive in time. Now the council was telling her she was the problem. Ambassador Harper, Zelnara said, "Do you wish to make a statement?" Daniel nodded once. He looked around the chamber slowly, meeting as many eyes as he could. Some looked away. Good, they should. Members of the Galactic Council, he began. His voice was quiet but clear. Humanity has been proud to serve alongside you for 23 years. We have fought together. We have built together. We have lost people together. Our soldiers died defending worlds that were not our own. Our merchants created trade routes that connected your economies. Our engineers helped build stations that orbit your planets. He paused. The chamber remained silent, but we understand your decision. We respect the sovereignty of this council. If you believe that humanity's presence is harmful, then we will remove that presence. Completely. Vexthor's smile faded slightly. That was not the response he had expected. He had expected anger, threats. Humans were supposed to be emotional and violent. We will begin withdrawal immediately, Daniel continued. All human military forces will leave council space within 30 days. All human trade stations will be closed within 60 days. All joint research projects will be terminated, with all human technology and personnel removed. The embassy will be cleared within 48 hours. Now the chamber was not silent. Voices rose in multiple languages. Several councillors looked shocked. A few looked pleased. The aquatic representative, Trade Minister Plexoon, looked worried. His species depended heavily on human shipping networks. Zelnara raised her arms for silence. Ambassador Harper, the council did not vote for complete withdrawal. Only restrictions. Daniel smiled, but it was a sad smile. With respect, High Arbiter, we understand what this vote means. You do not trust us. You fear us. We cannot operate effectively under these restrictions, and we will not stay where we are not wanted. Humanity will withdraw with grace and professionalism. We will not be a problem for you anymore. He picked up his data pad and the folder containing his credentials. Lisa stepped forward, her hand near her weapon, not from threat but from habit. Together they walked toward the exit. Harper, Vexthor called out. You cannot simply leave. There are treaties, agreements. Daniel stopped and turned back. All treaties will be honored until their natural expiration. We are not breaking our word. We are simply choosing not to renew when the time comes. Good luck, Counselor. I hope you find the galaxy as peaceful as you expect it to be. They left the chamber. The door closed behind them with a soft sound. Outside, the human delegation was waiting. Engineers, military officers, trade representatives, cultural attachés. 53 people who had made the council station their home. They looked at Daniel with questions in their eyes. Start packing, he said simply. We leave in 48 hours. Everything comes with us. Every computer, every tool, every piece of equipment. We leave nothing behind except what was here before we arrived. General Marcus Webb stepped forward. He was the military coordinator for the entire sector. Sir, we have forces in 47 different zones. Ships, stations, listening posts. It will take months to withdraw everyone properly. Then we start now, Daniel said. Send the orders. Full withdrawal. No exceptions. No delays, Captain Morgan spoke quietly. They will regret this. Daniel looked at her. Maybe, but that is not why we are leaving. We are leaving because they asked us to. We respect that choice, even if we think it is a mistake. Over the next 2 days, the human embassy became a flurry of activity. Files were encrypted and packed. Equipment was loaded onto transport ships. The staff worked with quiet efficiency. No one shouted. No one complained. They were professionals, and they would leave like professionals. Other species watched them go. Some looked relieved. Others looked uncertain. A few tried to talk to the departing humans, asking if this was really necessary. The answer was always the same polite response. The Council has made its decision, and humanity respects that decision. On the final morning, Daniel walked through the empty embassy one last time. The walls were bare. The desks were clean. It looked like no one had ever been there. He thought about the work they had done in these rooms, the problems they had solved, the lives they had saved. Lisa found him standing in the main office. Transport is ready, sir. Daniel nodded. He took one last look around, then walked out. The door locked behind them automatically. As their ship pulled away from the Council station, Daniel looked back at the massive structure. Ships from dozens of species moved around it like fish in a reef. It had seemed so permanent, so important. Now it just looked fragile. Where to, Ambassador? The pilot asked. Earth, Daniel said. We are going home. Behind them, the Galactic Council continued its business. They had removed the dangerous humans. They had made themselves safe. They believed they had solved a problem. They had no idea what they had actually done. The first week was quiet, almost peaceful. Councillor Vexthor walked through the Council station with his head held high. He had done it. He had removed the Deathworlder threat from Council space. Other councillors congratulated him. Some species sent official thanks to his office. He was being called a visionary, a protector of peace. The second week was when the reports started coming in. General Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the carrier Defiant, watching the tactical display. Around him, 47 different zones showed human forces preparing to withdraw. It was a massive operation. Ships that had patrolled these borders for years were now pulling back. Stations that had served as command centers were being evacuated. Listening posts that had warned of pirate activity were going dark. Status on Sector 7? Marcus asked. Last patrol ship departing now, sir, his operations officer replied. The Falcon is en route to Earth, all personnel accounted for. Marcus nodded. Sector 7 had been a hot zone for 5 years. Human ships had stopped 3 major pirate incursions there. The local species had never developed their own patrol capacity. They had not needed to. Humans had always been there, now no one was there. What about the Council forces? Marcus asked. Have they moved in to take over? Negative, sir. No Council ships in the sector. According to our intelligence, they are still organizing a response fleet. Marcus said nothing. He knew how long it took to organize a joint Council fleet. Different species, different ship designs, different command structures. It had taken the Council 8 months to respond to the last major crisis. 8 months. Human forces could deploy in 8 days. But that was not his problem anymore. Continue withdrawal, he said. All ships pull back to Earth space. No exceptions. At the same time, Engineer Kate Sullivan was closing down the research facility on Station Kepler. The facility had been a joint project between humans and 6 other species. They had been working on faster communication systems, better shields, more efficient engines, the kind of technology that helped everyone. Kate watched as her team packed up the last of the equipment. Computers, tools, prototypes. Everything was being loaded onto transport containers. The other species scientists watched with confused expressions. Kate, said Zintar, a mantis-like researcher she had worked with for 4 years. Is this truly necessary? Can we not continue the work? Kate looked at her friend. They had made real breakthroughs together. The Council made its choice, Zintar. We are respecting that choice. But the Council only wanted restrictions, not complete withdrawal. Kate smiled sadly. Without trust, there is no partnership. The restrictions showed us that the Council does not trust humanity. We understand, but we cannot work effectively under those conditions. It is better for everyone if we leave. What will happen to the projects? You can continue them if you want. But the human technology comes with us. The designs, the prototypes, the research data, that is ours. What you developed, you keep. What we developed together stays with you. What we developed alone comes with us. Zintar's antenna drooped. It will take years to rebuild this program. Maybe, Kate said gently. But you are smart people. You will figure it out. You did science before humans arrived. You can do it after we leave. She did not say what they both knew. Humans had not just contributed to the projects. They had driven them. Human engineers worked differently, faster, more creatively. They saw problems from angles other species missed. It came from living on a death world. When your planet tried to kill you every day, you learned to think fast and solve problems quickly. By the end of the second week, the economic reports reached Trade Minister Plexun. He read them in his water-filled office, his gills fluttering with stress. Human merchants were closing their trade stations. Not some of them. All of them. Over 200 stations across council space. The humans were not being difficult about it. They were selling their inventory at fair prices. They were paying off their local employees with generous severance. They were transferring leases back to the stations cleanly. Everything was professional and orderly, but the effect was devastating. Human traders had connected distant parts of council space. They had created routes that other merchants thought were too risky or too expensive. They had built a network that made everything flow smoothly. Now that network was disappearing. Plexun sent an urgent message to Earth requesting a meeting with human trade officials. The response came back within a day. Polite, professional, and absolutely clear. We appreciate your concern, Trade Minister. However, humanity has decided to focus on our own internal markets. We respect the Council's decision and will not interfere with Council space or Council trade. We wish you success in your future endeavors. It was the politeness that bothered Plexun the most. There was no anger, no bitterness, just a simple statement that humans were done and moving on. Like the Council was not even important enough to argue with. The third week brought the first attacks. A pirate fleet hit a mining colony in Sector 12. It was a small raid, only 3 ships. In the past, human patrol vessels would have responded within hours. They were always nearby, always watching. Now there were no patrol vessels. The colony sent a distress call to the Council Defense Fleet. The Council promised to send help immediately. Help arrived 72 hours later. By then, the pirates were long gone. They had taken supplies, damaged equipment, and killed 8 colonists who tried to resist. The Council Defense Coordinator, Jinrak, stared at the report with growing frustration. His fur bristled with anger. 72 hours. It should not take 72 hours to respond to a distress call in Council space, but coordinating Council forces was complicated. He had to contact 3 different species fleets. He had to get authorization from the Defense Committee. He had to plan approach vectors that worked for different ship types. Human vessels had been fast and flexible. Council vessels were not. More reports came in. Pirates in Sector 7, raiders in Sector 23, smugglers in Sector 15. These were not major attacks. Just small groups testing the borders, seeing what they could get away with. They were getting away with a lot. By the 4th week, Councillor Vexthor was receiving angry messages from multiple species. Why were the borders not secure? Why were trade routes experiencing delays? Why was everything taking longer and costing more? He sent back reassurances. The Council was adapting. Systems were being put in place. Everything would stabilize soon. It was just a transition period. These things took time, but privately he was beginning to worry. He had expected some minor problems. All changes had adjustment periods, but the scope of the issues was larger than he had anticipated. Human forces had been more spread out than he realized. Human traders had been more deeply integrated than he understood. Human engineers had been involved in more systems than anyone had documented. It was like removing a single card from a house of cards and watching as other cards started to shift. High Arbiter Zelnara called an emergency session at the end of the month. The chamber was tense. Representatives were arguing before the session even officially began. Order, Zelnara said, her voice cutting through the noise. We are here to discuss the current security and economic situation. The situation is simple. Vexthor said firmly. We are experiencing temporary difficulties as we adjust to new operational parameters. This was expected. It will pass. Temporary? Trade Minister Plexen's voice rose from his water tank. We have lost 17% of our trade capacity in 1 month. Shipping costs have increased by 30%. Colonies are reporting supply shortages. Then hire new merchants, Vexthor said dismissively. From where? Human traders worked routes that others will not touch. They went to dangerous areas. They took risks. Other merchants want higher pay and better security for those same routes. Security we do not have because our patrol capacity has dropped by 60%. The chamber erupted in arguments. Zelnara called for order repeatedly. Finally, she spoke loud enough to silence everyone. Could we negotiate with Earth for a partial return of forces? The room went quiet. Everyone looked at each other. Finally, Jinrak spoke up. We have tried, High Arbiter. Earth is accepting diplomatic communications, but every request for military or trade assistance receives the same response. They respect our decision and wish us well. They are being petty, Vexthor growled. No, said Councillor Rithara, the avian representative who had voted against the restrictions. They are being professional. We told them we did not want them here. They are respecting our wishes, completely. And that was the problem, though no one wanted to say it out loud. Humans were not fighting back. They were not being difficult. They were simply gone. Quietly, efficiently, professionally gone. And in their absence, everyone was beginning to realize just how much the humans had actually been doing. 3 months after the humans left, High Arbiter Zelnara stopped sleeping well. She would wake in the middle of the night cycle, her mind filled with reports and numbers, all of them bad, all of them getting worse. The council chamber had become a place of constant arguments. Species blamed each other for the problems. No one wanted to admit the obvious truth. No one except Councillor Yathara, who said it plainly during one heated session. We broke something we did not understand, the avian councillor said quietly. We saw the humans as warriors and merchants. We did not see them as the spine holding everything together. Vexthor slammed his clawed hand on his podium. Nonsense. We are experiencing growing pains, nothing more. The humans were not special. They were simply there. Now we will learn to do what they did. Yathara's feathers ruffled. 3 months, Vexthor. In 3 months we have lost control of 17 colony worlds. Pirate attacks have increased by 400%. Our economy has contracted by 34%. How long before you admit this is not working? The truth was obvious to everyone now. The pirate clans had realized that human forces were gone. At first, they had been cautious, testing the borders with small raids. When no human ships appeared, they grew bolder. When council forces took days to respond instead of hours, the pirates grew even bolder. Now they were coordinating. Small clans were joining into larger groups. Some were even forming fleets. Defense Coordinator Jinrak presented his weekly report with visible exhaustion. His fur was matted and he had lost weight. The situation continues to deteriorate. We now have 3 major pirate fleets operating in former human patrol zones. Each fleet has between 15 and 30 ships. They are hitting supply convoys, raiding colonies, and avoiding our response forces with ease. Why can we not catch them? Vexthor demanded. Because they are fast and we are slow, Jinrak said bluntly. Human patrol patterns were unpredictable. Their ships could change direction quickly. Their commanders made decisions instantly. Our forces require authorization from the Defense Committee for major operations. By the time we approve a response plan, the pirates have moved to a different sector. Then change the authorization process. We have tried. 3 times. Each attempt gets blocked by one species or another who fears giving too much power to a central command. The humans did not have this problem because they operated independently. We trusted them to make decisions. We do not trust each other the same way. That was the core of it, Zelnara thought. The council species had trusted humans to do dangerous work while they stayed safe. Now they were discovering that safety came with a price they had not wanted to pay. Trade Minister Plexen delivered even worse news. Food shipments to the manufacturing worlds are down by 40%. Medical supplies to the outer colonies have been cut by half. Several worlds are reporting shortages of basic goods. We cannot maintain the same distribution network the humans built. Why not? Vexthor asked. Hire more merchants. We have hired more merchants, Plexen said, his gills fluttering rapidly in frustration. But they will not take the risks humans took. They demand military escorts. They want danger pay. They refuse routes that humans ran regularly. And even with all that, they are slower and less efficient. Human logistics were built on speed and precision. They use predictive algorithms we do not have. They took calculated risks we cannot match. Counselor Yethera spread her wings slightly. I will say again what I said at the beginning. We did not understand what we had. Humans were not just providing services. They were providing competence. On Earth, Captain Troy Bennett sat in a comfortable chair at the Human Trade Authority office. Across from him, a holographic display showed a transmission from the Council. It was the 14th request he had received this week. All of them said basically the same thing. Captain Bennett, this is Trade Minister Plexen of the Galactic Council. We understand you previously operated merchant routes in Council space. We would like to offer you a very generous contract to resume those routes. Please contact us at your earliest convenience. Troy deleted the message without responding. Beside him, his business partner laughed. Another one? Another one, Troy confirmed. They are getting desperate. Are you tempted? Troy shook his head. Not even a little. I spent 8 years building those routes. 8 years dealing with Council bureaucracy, Council regulations, Council committees. I made them rich and they thanked me by telling me I was too dangerous to be trusted. Now I run routes between human colonies and independent stations. Less profit maybe, but also less stress. And a lot more respect. They are offering triple the normal rate. They could offer 10 times the rate. The answer is still no. When someone shows you they do not value you, believe them. This attitude was common among human merchants. The Council had sent out hundreds of contract offers. Almost all were rejected. The few humans who did respond sent back the same polite message. We respect the Council's decision and wish them well in their future endeavors. It was becoming a standard phrase. Polite, professional, completely final. Admiral Frank. Carter monitored the situation from Earth Defense Command. His screens showed Council space in real time. Red markers indicated pirate activity. Yellow markers showed colonies in distress. Blue markers showed Council military forces, always arriving too late or in too few numbers. His staff watched the same screens with grim satisfaction. They had warned the Council this would happen. They had explained how human forces provided more than just firepower. They provided speed, coordination, and initiative. The Council had not listened. Should we offer assistance, sir? His intelligence officer asked. Have they asked for it? Not officially. Several individual species have sent requests through back channels. All have been told that official requests must come through the Council. And the Council? The Council has sent requests to resume trade and security partnerships. All requests have been forwarded to the Diplomatic Corps. Frank nodded. And what does the Diplomatic Corps say? Ambassador Grant responds to every request the same way. We respect the Council's decision. We will not interfere with Council affairs. We wish them success. Frank allowed himself a small smile. Ambassador Grant is good at her job. Sir, Colony World Epsilon is reporting that pirates have taken control of their orbital station. They are requesting emergency assistance. They have sent the request to us directly, bypassing the Council. Frank pulled up the display. Epsilon was a mining world, mostly populated by a species called the Vren. Good people. He had visited once. They had always been friendly to humans. Forward the request to the Council with a note that we received it. Then send a response to Epsilon. Tell them we sympathize with their situation, but we cannot provide military assistance in Council space. We respect the Council's sovereignty and their decision regarding human forces. The intelligence officer hesitated. Sir, people are dying. I know, Frank said quietly. And that is tragic. But we cannot save people who do not want to be saved. The Council made their choice. They are a sovereign government. If we intervene without permission, we become invaders. That makes us exactly what Vexthor said we were. So we do nothing. We do what we have been doing. We monitor. We document, we wait. And when they are ready to ask properly, we will be ready to discuss terms. Back at the Council station, Ambassador Sophia Grant read through her messages. Hundreds of them. Personal pleas from colony governors, merchant guilds, defense coordinators, even individual citizens. All asking for human help. All desperate. She responded to each one personally with the same message. Different words, but the same meaning. We understand your situation. We sympathize. But we cannot act without proper authorization from your government. Please direct your request to the Galactic Council, and they can contact Earth through official channels. It was not cruel. It was necessary. If humans started responding to individual requests, they would undermine the Council's authority. That would make things worse in the long run. The Council needed to learn this lesson completely. They needed to understand what they had lost and why they had lost it. More importantly, they needed to ask for help properly, not as desperate beggars, not as people demanding that humans fix their mistakes, but as equals who understood the value of partnership. That time had not come yet. It would come eventually. Frank was sure of it. The question was how much damage would happen first. At the next council session, Zelnara tried one more time to reach out to Earth officially. She sent a formal request for a meeting to discuss mutual security concerns. The response came back within a day. Ambassador Daniel Harper would be happy to meet with council representatives on Earth. Not on the council station. On Earth, the message was clear. If the council wanted human help, they would come to humanity's home. They would ask on human terms. The days of humans coming to the council as junior partners were over. Vexthor refused to accept it. This is manipulation. They are trying to force us into a position of weakness. No, Yathara said tiredly. They are treating us exactly as we treated them, with respect for our sovereignty and our choices, and we chose to remove them. They are respecting that choice. If we want to change it, we must be the ones to act. 6 months after the humans left, the Galactic Council held an emergency session that everyone knew was coming. The chamber was only half full. Several species had stopped sending representatives. Some could not afford the travel anymore. Others were too busy dealing with crises at home. 12 colony worlds had fallen completely under pirate control. Not just raided, occupied. The pirates were setting up their own governments, collecting their own taxes, and openly challenging council authority. It was humiliating. More than that, it was terrifying. If the council could not protect its own colonies, what was the point of the council? High Arbiter Zelnara looked tired. Her chitin had lost its shine. She moved slowly, like someone who had not rested in weeks. We must discuss the current crisis, she began. Defense Coordinator Jinrak will present his report. Jinrak stood at his podium. He looked worse than Zelnara. His fur was falling out in patches from stress. The situation is catastrophic. We have lost 12 colony worlds. 8 more are under active siege. Our defensive fleets have suffered 47% casualties in the past month alone. Pirate forces now outnumber our available military ships in 7 sectors. How is this possible? One counselor demanded. We have the combined forces of 47 species. We have ships from 47 species, Jinrak corrected. We do not have a combined force. Every fleet operates independently. Every species wants command authority. Every engagement requires committee approval. We are fighting a modern war with ancient methods, and we are losing. Counselor Yathara spoke up. I propose we send an official delegation to Earth. Not to beg. To negotiate a mutual defense treaty as equals. No, Vexthor said immediately. We will not crawl to the Deathworlders. Then what is your solution? Yathara's feathers were fully extended in anger. Tell us, Vexthor. You created this situation. You convinced us that humans were the threat. You promised we would be safer without them. So tell us your plan to fix this disaster. Vexthor had no answer. For the first time since the humans left, he was completely silent. The silence was broken by Trade Minister Plexen. I must report that the economic situation is equally severe. Our gross domestic product has declined by 51%. Unemployment has risen to levels not seen in 200 years. Food shortages are affecting 33 worlds. Medical supply chains have completely collapsed in the outer territories. We are facing economic depression across all council space. Surely we can rebuild the trade network, someone said weakly. With what? Plexen asked. We have tried hiring new merchants. Most refuse to work in council space at any price. The few who accept demand rates so high that shipping costs more than the goods themselves. We have tried creating our own shipping lines. They are inefficient and slow. A route that humans ran in 3 days now takes us 12 days. The humans were not just moving goods. They were the entire system. On Earth, Ambassador Sophia Grant worked from a small office that overlooked a garden. She found the natural setting calming, which she needed. Her job had become increasingly difficult as the council's situation deteriorated. She received 643 messages that day. All of them were requests for help. Some were official, sent through proper diplomatic channels. Most were not. Direct pleas from colony governors, military commanders, merchant guilds, and desperate citizens. A particular message caught her attention. It was from the leader of Colony World Epsilon, the mining world that had been taken by pirates 6 weeks earlier. The message was video format. It showed a Vren female, her skin pale with stress. Ambassador Grant, I am Governor Linsha of Epsilon Colony. I am sending this message in desperation. Pirates control our world. They have killed 237 of our people. They are forcing the rest to work in the mines under terrible conditions. We have sent 17 requests to the Council for rescue. They tell us a relief fleet is being organized. It has been 6 weeks, please. We know humans can help. We know you have the ability. We are begging you. Please help us. Sophia watched the message 3 times. Then she composed her response carefully. Governor Linsha, I have received your message and I am deeply sorry for your situation. Earth sympathizes with your suffering. However, we cannot provide military intervention in Council space without proper authorization. The Galactic Council is the recognized government of your territory. All requests for assistance must come through them. I strongly encourage you to continue pressing the Council for action. I wish I could do more. She sent the message and felt sick. This was the right thing to do politically. It was the professional thing to do. But it felt wrong on a human level. Her species had evolved to help those in need, to protect the weak, to fight for justice. Sitting here while people suffered went against everything in her nature. But Admiral Frank Carter had explained it clearly. If we intervene every time someone asks, we become the Council whether we want to or not. We become responsible for their choices and their failures. We cannot save people who keep making the same mistakes. They need to learn, even if the lesson is painful. Sophia understood the logic. She agreed with it. That did not make it easier. She received another message an hour later. This one was from a Council military commander named Voren. He was trapped with his fleet in Sector 19, surrounded by pirate forces. His message was brief and direct. Ambassador Grant, my fleet is outnumbered 3-1. We have taken heavy damage. Council Command cannot send reinforcements for 8 more days. We will all be dead in 2 days. I know Earth monitors this sector. I know you can see us. I am not asking for direct intervention. But if any human merchant ships happen to be passing through, and if they happen to have their transponders off, and if they happen to be heavily armed, I would not report such a coincidence, please. 3,000 lives. Sophia stared at that message for a long time. Voren was offering her an out, a way to help without making it official. Human merchants with military-grade weapons just happening to be nearby. It would work. No one would question it too hard. The Council would pretend not to notice, and Earth could claim ignorance. But it was exactly the kind of thing that would make the situation worse. It would let the Council avoid making hard choices. It would let them keep pretending everything was fine while humans did the real work in the shadows. She sent back a simple message. I'm sorry. I cannot help you. Please direct all requests to the Council Command. Voren's fleet was destroyed 3 days later. All hands lost. Sophia did not sleep that night. Or the next. Or the one after that. Back at the Council station, Vexthor's position was collapsing. Species that had once supported him were now openly criticizing his leadership. Some were calling for his removal from the Council entirely. The breaking point came during a session about funding for the defense fleet. We need to triple the military budget, Jinrak said. We are losing ships faster than we can replace them. Where will the money come from? Someone asked. Our economies are in depression. We could ask Earth for economic assistance, Yathara suggested. Never, Vexthor snarled. I will not beg humans for anything. Then we are finished, Yathara said simply. Because without help we cannot survive. It is that simple. Counselor after counselor stood up and agreed with Yathara. Even Vexthor's closest allies were abandoning him. The consensus was clear. Something had to change. High Arbiter Zelnara made the decision. I am calling for a vote of no confidence in Counselor Vexthor's leadership. All in favor? The vote was overwhelming. 41 in favor. Only Vexthor and 3 others against. 3 abstentions. Vexthor stood slowly. His scales seemed duller than before. You are all fools. You're inviting the predators back into our home. No, Zelnara said quietly. We are inviting our partners back. Partners we should never have sent away. Vexthor left the chamber in silence. His political career was over. More importantly, his entire philosophy had been proven wrong. The humans had not been the danger. Fear had been the danger. Pride had been the danger. Thinking they could do everything themselves had been the danger. After he left, Zelnara addressed the remaining counselors. I will personally lead a delegation to Earth. We will request humanitarian assistance and discuss the possibility of renewed partnership. Not as superiors dictating terms, not as desperate beggars with no pride, but as equals who made a mistake and wish to correct it. What if they refuse? Someone asked. Then we face the consequences of our choices, Zelnara said. But I do not think they will refuse humanitarian aid. Humans are many things. Proud, strong, capable. But they are also compassionate. They do not let people die when they can prevent it. That is not weakness. That is strength we failed to recognize. She looked around the chamber at the remaining representatives. We told ourselves we were removing a threat. In truth, we were removing the people who made us safe, who made us prosperous, who did the hard work while we enjoyed peace. We took them for granted, and now we are learning the cost of that mistake. Some lessons can only be learned through suffering. I hope we have suffered enough to truly understand what we lost. The chamber was silent. Everyone was thinking the same thing. They had been so sure they were right. 1 year after the humans left, High Arbiter Zelnara stood in the human embassy on Earth. It was not the same building the council had maintained before. That had been grand, designed to impress. This was a simple conference room with windows overlooking a forest. The message was clear. Humans were not trying to impress anyone anymore. Ambassador Daniel Harper entered the room. He looked the same as he had a year ago. Calm, professional, perhaps a bit older around the eyes. He was followed by Commander Nicole Phillips, who wore a medical corps uniform, and Admiral Frank Carter in his dress uniform. High Arbiter, Daniel said with a slight nod. Thank you for coming to Earth. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us, Zelnara replied. She noticed he had not used her title with the same deference as before. His tone was respectful but equal. That was fair. The council had lost the right to expect deference. She had brought only 2 others with her. Councillor Withara and Trade Minister Plexun. The rest of the delegation had wanted to come, but she had refused. This was not a negotiation that needed dozens of voices. It needed honesty. I will be direct, Zelnara said once everyone was seated. The Galactic Council is in crisis. 23 colony worlds have been lost to pirate occupation. Our economy has contracted by 68%. Thousands have died from violence, disease, and starvation. We cannot protect our people. We cannot feed our people. We cannot maintain basic civilization. We are collapsing and we have no one to blame but ourselves. Daniel listened without interrupting. His expression gave nothing away. We come to Earth asking for humanitarian assistance, Zelnara continued. We are not asking you to rejoin the Council. We are not asking you to fix all our problems. We are asking for help to stop the immediate suffering. After that, if you are willing, we would like to discuss new arrangements for cooperation. Not as the old agreements, something different. Something better. What kind of humanitarian assistance? Commander Phillips asked. Medical supplies, food. Basic security for the supply convoys. People are dying of preventable causes. Children are starving. The sick have no medicine. We can pay for supplies, but we cannot deliver them safely. Phillips looked at Daniel, who nodded slightly. We can help with that, Phillips said. Earth has medical ships and supply vessels ready to deploy. We have been preparing for this request. Zelnara felt a wave of relief so strong it made her dizzy. You were preparing? You expected us to ask. We hoped you would ask, Admiral Carter said. We knew the situation was bad. We have been monitoring council space, but we could not offer help until you asked. To do otherwise would have been disrespectful to your sovereignty, even though people were dying. Even then, Daniel said quietly, you made your choice. We had to respect it even when we disagreed with it. Even when it hurt to watch. That is what respect actually means. Not telling you what to do, but letting you make your own decisions and learn from them. Ithara spoke for the first time. That must have been difficult. It was the hardest thing we have ever done, Philip said. Her voice carried real pain. Every day we received messages from people begging for help. Every day we had to say no. Do you know what that does to someone? To have the ability to save lives and not do it? We lost sleep. We questioned ourselves. Some of our people quit rather than keep refusing to help. But you did not intervene, Zelnara said. No, because intervention without consent is conquest. We would not become invaders just because it made us feel better. You needed to learn this lesson completely. We needed you to understand what you were asking for when you asked us to leave. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Plexon spoke. We understand now. We saw humans as warriors and merchants. We did not see the coordination, the logistics, the systems thinking, the quick decisions, the reliability. We saw what you did, not how you did it or why it mattered. Many species can fight, Admiral Carter said. Many species can trade. But very few can do both while also managing complex systems, making fast decisions and taking calculated risks. That came from Earth, from a planet that tried to kill us every day. We learned to think fast, work together, and solve problems quickly because our survival depended on it. That is what we brought to the Council. Not just strength, but competence. And we threw it away because we were afraid, Zelnara said. Vexthor convinced us you were dangerous. He was wrong. You were never the danger. Our own fear was the danger. Daniel leaned forward. High Arbiter, humanity will provide humanitarian assistance starting immediately. Commander Phillips will coordinate medical and food supplies. We will provide convoy escorts to make sure the supplies reach the people who need them. This assistance is free. We will not charge you. Why? Zelnara asked. We rejected you. We forced you to leave. Why help us for free? Because people are suffering, Phillips said simply. Because children are hungry. Because the sick need medicine. That is enough reason. We do not help people because they deserve it. We help people because they need it. That is who we are. Zelnara felt something wet on her face. She was crying. She had not cried in 20 years. Thank you, she whispered. However, Daniel continued, we will not provide military intervention. We will not rejoin the Council. That relationship is over. We understand, Yathara said. We would not accept if you offered. The Council made its choice. We must face the consequences. But, Daniel said with a slight smile, we would be interested in bilateral treaties with individual species. Trade agreements. Defense pacts. Technology sharing. Whatever makes sense for both parties. Each species negotiates separately on their own terms. You would split the Council, Plexon said. No. The Council split itself when it stopped being useful. We are offering an alternative. Species can stay in the Council if they want. But they can also deal with Earth directly, whatever works best for them. Over the next 3 weeks, Commander Phillips led the largest humanitarian operation in human history. Medical ships arrived at struggling colonies. Supply convoys brought food to starving worlds. Human escort vessels protected the convoys from pirates but did not engage in offensive operations. It was exactly what Zelnara had asked for. Nothing more, nothing less. The effect was immediate. Death rates dropped. Supplies reached people who needed them. Hope returned to worlds that had given up, but humanity did not return to Council space to stay. The medical ships left after delivering supplies. The escort vessels turned back at designated points. Humans were helping, but they were not taking over. The difference was important. At the same time, individual species began reaching out to Earth for bilateral treaties. The first was Yathara's people, who signed a mutual defense and trade agreement. Then Plexon's species signed a trade treaty. Within 6 months, 31 of the Council's 47 member species had individual agreements with Earth. The Council still existed, but it was changed. Smaller, less powerful, more realistic about its limitations. Species stayed in the Council for coordination and shared projects, but they no longer depended on it for everything. They had learned the danger of putting all their trust in one institution. Ambassador Daniel Harper returned to the Council station 1 year after he had left. But he came as a visitor, not a member. He met with Zelnara in a small office, not the Grand Chamber. How is the situation? He asked. Better. Not good, but better. We have reclaimed 8 of the lost colony worlds. Pirates are being pushed back slowly. The economy is recovering. We are learning to do things ourselves with help from our partners when we need it. That is good to hear. Daniel, I want to apologize. Personally, for what we did, for not seeing your value, for letting fear guide our decisions. Daniel smiled. Apology accepted. But you did not need to apologize. You made a choice based on what you believed was right. You were wrong, but your intentions were not evil. You learned from the mistake. That is what matters. Did you know this would happen? When you left, did you know we would collapse? We suspected, but we hoped you would figure it out before it got too bad. Some lessons can only be learned by experience. You could have warned us more clearly. Would you have listened? Daniel asked gently. Zelnara thought about it. No, probably not. We thought we knew better. Exactly. So we left quietly. We let you experience the consequences. We waited until you were ready to hear the truth. Now you have heard it and we can move forward together as actual partners. Is that what we are now? Partners? Individual species are partners with Earth, yes. The Council is a friendly neighbor. That works better for everyone. Zelnara looked out the window at the stars. What happened to Vexthor? I heard he retired to a colony world. Lives quietly. Does not speak to the press. He was wrong about humans. Wrong about everything. He was scared, Daniel said. Fear makes people do foolish things. We understand that. We have done foolish things out of fear too. That is why we do not hold grudges. Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is learning from them. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Finally, Zelnara spoke again. What did humanity learn from this? Daniel considered the question. That being needed is not the same as being wanted. That strength means knowing when to step back. That respect means letting others make their own choices, even bad ones.